All right, let's talk about one of the most effective, but also one of the most misunderstood supplements on the market, creatine. You've probably heard all the rumors, the locker room talk, maybe even some pretty scary warnings. Well, today we're going to cut right through all that noise and get straight to the facts. First up, the big one. This is the comparison that immediately puts people's guards up, right? You hear creatine, you think massive muscles, and that leads directly to this really common confusion. And then you've got the fear that hits a little closer to home. For a lot of people, this is a huge deal. And believe it or not, it all comes from a single study way back in 2009 that we are absolutely going to unpack. And maybe the most serious concern of all, long-term health. The idea that this stuff could actually be hurting your organs is, a major reason why a lot of people just decide to stay away. So, to really get to the bottom of all this, we have to start at the beginning. We need to figure out what creatine actually is.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's just forget about the myths for a second and look at the actual biology. What is your body doing with this molecule every single day anyway?
So here's the most important thing to get right away. This is not some foreign chemical. Creatine is a totally natural compound that your own body makes from the amino acids you eat. And get this, about 95% of it is stored right in your muscles and your brain, just waiting to be used. Now this is where it gets really cool. This slide shows you its main job. Think about your body's main energy molecule. It's called ATP. When you use it, it turns into a kind of drained battery version called ADP. Well, creatine, which is stored as creatine phosphate, just swoops in, donates its own phosphate molecule, and bam, it instantly recharges that ADP right back into usable ATP. It's basically a super fast energy recycler. Yeah, this is the perfect way to think about it. Creatine isn't your main gas tank, not at all. It's that nitro boost you hit for a short, intense burst of power. It's the emergency power bank you use for that one last heavy lift or that final sprint to the finish line. And this really breaks down the two key energy systems in your body. The energy you get from food, like glucose, that's your long-haul fuel for sustained effort. But the creatine system, that is all about immediate, high-intensity power that you need in a matter of seconds. Okay, so if it's an energy system, does that just mean it's only good for athletes or people who live at the gym? Absolutely not. The research is showing a way broader impact that goes far, far beyond just lifting weights. Your brain is a huge energy hog, so it kind of makes sense that this cellular power bank would help there too. We're seeing studies showing better memory and faster processing speeds. It seems to be especially helpful for vegetarians and vegans because their dietary intake is naturally lower, and for older adults who are looking to hang on to their muscle and strength as they age. And just to put a number on that aging benefit, check this out. 1 year-long study found that older folks who combined strength training with creatine gained, on average, 1.3 kilograms more lean mass than the group that only did the training. It just supercharged their results. All right, now that we've got a handle on the science of what creatine is and what it does, let's circle back to those fears from the beginning and see how they actually stack up against the real evidence. So, the entire hair loss myth can be traced back to this one single study in 2009. They took some rugby players, gave them high doses, and noted a rise in a hormone called DHT. But, and this is the most important part, they never actually measured hair loss itself. Since then, a whole bunch of better, more direct studies have been done that actually track hair growth. The verdict today? At normal, regular doses, creatine has not been shown to cause hair loss. Look, comparing creatine to a steroid is just a fundamental misunderstanding of what they are. Steroids are synthetic hormones. They directly command your body to build more muscle. Creatine, it's just a fuel source. It doesn't build muscle itself. It just gives you the energy to do the hard work that does build muscle. One's a legal supplement, the other is a controlled substance. They're not even in the same ballpark. Now, what about the kidney myth? This almost always comes down to confusing two words that sound almost exactly the same. Creatine, the supplement, and creatinine, a totally harmless waste product. See, when you use your muscles, they naturally produce this stuff called creatinine, and it's your kidney's job to filter it out. So if you take creatine, your muscles have more energy, they do more work, and yeah, they produce a little more creatinine. This is completely normal and expected. It's not a sign of kidney damage. We have decades of research concluding that for healthy people, creatine is safe for the kidneys and the liver. Now, the key phrase there is healthy people. If you have a pre-existing kidney condition, you should definitely avoid it. So, after all the debate, all the studies, all the chatter at the gym, what is the final scientific consensus on one of the most researched supplements on the entire planet?
Well, the amount of evidence we have is just vast. I mean, one massive meta-analysis didn't just look at one or two studies. It reviewed 685 separate clinical trials. Some of these tracked people for as long as 14 years. And what they found, overwhelmingly, is this. For healthy individuals, taking the standard recommended dose, the major fears that surround creatine just are not supported by the science. It has consistently been shown to be both very safe and very effective. So, we've gone from rumor to research, and we've replaced some of the most common myths with actual clinical data. The question really isn't what the internet thinks anymore, but what the evidence is actually telling us. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.